Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is February 17th. I'm sorry there hasn't been an episode for a few days, but yeah, it's just been one of those weekends in crypto. So today's episode is going to cover a Geth bug. So that's the top news of the day. Basically, we're going to be talking about huge deposits of rETH into the deposit pool, the rETH discount getting much smaller, and a whole lot more. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so the only place to start today's episode is with this news of Geth, and there is a bug. And Jasper tweeted out to the Rocket Pool community, quote tweeting the Geth Twitter account saying, "Attention Rocket Pool node operators running Geth. Hopefully there aren't too many of them. If you are on version 1.15.1, please update your flag to 1.15.2 ASAP, or you may experience losses." Now that language was kind of vague about what the experience losses means. Basically, there is a problem with 1.15.1, and what happened is that if you are making a block, sometimes the block is invalid, and you basically won't get rewards for that. So you won't get slashed or anything like that, but it's just that you will have problems with your block building. So a lot of people were having this problem with the block building, which is why Geth then put out this new version. So I actually didn't cover the last version of Geth on Rocket Fuel. That was 1.15.0. Sorry, hold on a second. Yeah, so here 1.15.0 was out a couple of weeks ago, and then 1.15.1 actually came out 4 days ago. So that's the one that I didn't cover on Rocket Fuel. So this one was, to enable everything for Pectra, on Haleshki and Sepolia. And then it was giving details about when the fork was going to go live. And then it said that there's other user-facing changes here about the transaction pool, etc. And then the next thing was that today, 10 hours ago, there was said this release fixes a few regressions. In particular, it restores block building on mainnet, which is broken in 1.15.1, and then all changes in this release of block building on mainnet works again. So I guess this was for people who were building blocks locally as well, not using MEV boost. So the number of people like this impacted, I think, in the Rocket Pool community is probably like one person, if that. The person would have to be using Geth, which there aren't too many Geth users in the Rocket Pool community. And then on top of that, they have to be building blocks locally, which almost zero Rocket Pool users are doing. They're all using MEV boost. So yeah, the number of people that's impacted is quite small, but it's a bug. It's a bug in Geth, and if you are using it, then stop. So update to 1.15.2, and then you should be all good again. Okay, and of course, the smart node, we haven't had a new version of the smart node since January 31st. So there's no, this version isn't on any smart node versions. However, if you had manually updated Geth, so this again is one of those situations where even fewer Rocket Pool node operators, would be impacted by this. So this is Geth released a fix for regression that can cause block creation failures, leading to missed slots. If you manually updated Geth to 1.15.1, please update at 1.15.2. No action is required for all other users. And it says we're going to release a new smart node version early this week. The update will have all the client versions supporting Pectra on Haleshki. Thank you to Rocket Pool. So thank you, Rocket Pool. So that's good to hear that, the number of users that this is impacting is going to be extremely minimal, if not even zero. But it's good to know that, there could be problems out there, and to keep your wits about you. Okay, moving on to some Rocket Pool news now. And the key Rocket Pool news of the day is that we had a whole lot of deposits. Let's have a look. So yeah, here was a first one. It was for 928 ETH, which of course looks really nice. And then we had a whole lot more, and this was like really, really exciting. They all came like not far from each other. And it looked like they were from different people as well for the most part. So this was 974. And then we had another one for 956. And then the whale splashes started. This one was for 1,605. And then we had another one here for 1,961. So I'm not sure who this person or entity or people are who are minting this. they could have gotten a better deal buying on the secondary market, but hey, I'm not going to complain. They've just minted almost 10,000 ETH worth of rETH. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it was one person. As you can see here from Rocket Scan, that the information, like, it started here, but the addresses are different for all of them. So I don't know if there was like a parent address that was feeding the children, or if it was just a bunch of different addresses kind of wanting to mint rETH in the space of 20 minutes all of a sudden. But yeah, I should catch up on that information and see if anyone's kind of figured it out. But the really cool thing here is that on the 16th, which was yesterday, we had 7,745 ETH deposited to mint our ETH, and this is by far the largest amount that we've had, in a few months. The last day with the huge deposit was on December 22nd, and that was NSSO, who we're going to be actually talking about later. But before that, you had to go all the way back to pretty much last summer, I think, to get well, even longer than that. Wow, yeah, like a really, really long time to get anything close to this amount of rETH minting in one day, over a year ago. So yeah, there you go. Like, December 24th of 2023, you had 7,328. So that just shows you that, it's really rare what happened here. So that was really awesome to see. So good stuff. What's really interesting is that, this was impacted the queue quite nicely as well. So we are now down to 257 mini pools. So that is really nice for the people who've been queuing for a long time. And you can see here on the queue stats that the length went from around 531 just a few days ago, down to 255 basically, which is where it came to yesterday. And you can see here as well that the amount of time waiting for people had reached 44 days, which is the longest wait there's ever been in Rocket Pool, 45 days, and now the most recent is down to like 17 days. So that made a big difference as well. So yeah, it's really nice to see these deposits come through. But of course, as while there's a discount on the secondary market, it does make sense for people to just mint their rETH on the secondary market more. However, talking about the discount in the secondary market, it looks like it has almost gone. So earlier today, Halula was playing around with some stats, and he saw that the discount was down to 0.236%, which is the lowest it's been in a little while. That of course is really, really cool to see. So that means people have either been buying rETH on the secondary market, or more people have been using the exit arb to get those, try to get some of that ETH for themselves and do that. So it's brought us closer back to peg. Now, if we have a look over here, just now, a little while ago, Hulu again used the LST price command and saw that the discount is 0.243%. So it looks like the exit arb has been working really well in terms of incentivizing people to exit their validators and take advantage of the arb, and that's what's happened here. You see that the discount has come down so much. So that actually just makes it a better user experience, because people can now exit their validators at a better price. Not exit their validators, buy rETH at a better price, or sell their rETH at a better price as well. That's what I meant. And I think that's really good, because it means that the rETH holders are getting the product they wanted. Now, what this is showing me is that those people who knew that these exits were coming, if they had leveraged longed rETH versus ETH, they would have made a really nice amount of money with this repegging. I think that would have been really profitable for those people. Like, depending on how much they did it and how much they looped it, they could have done really well. Of course, the risk was that we could have repegged further and they could have gone liquidated, but even taking a small amount of caution could have prevented that from happening. And right now you would have been sitting on many months worth of rewards multiplied many times. So that's really, really cool to see, like, for people who took advantage of that. Okay, talking about rETH, we have some news that Ramana shared earlier today, where there was some issues with Uniswap, using Uniswap to buy rETH, and he saw that there was a problem detected from the Uniswap side showing that rETH has been flagged as unsellable, which obviously is an error because it's not unsellable. But here, Mav was notified, and he says that it looked like it was added to the blockade list. Who would do that? So what happened here is some people were seeing that, some people were not seeing that. Here, Chirid tried to check and was not seeing that issue, and then others were not seeing that issue as well, but Mav was notified, so I guess he's going to try to figure out what's going on and then get to the bottom of it, because obviously, we don't want there to be that issue for people using rETH on Uniswap. Of course, the best place to interact with rETH, to buy rETH, is via CowSwap. So yeah, he, as Mav said, that he's working on it, and then later on, Chirid came back and it looked like the issue wasn't there. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on with Uniswap on rETH. But yeah, if you do want to buy rETH on the secondary market, then the best place to do that is on Uniswap. On CowSwap. So yeah, that's what I would use. Okay, so earlier on we mentioned NSSO and how they were the biggest node operator. How the biggest rETH minter in over a year, with the 18,000 mint. Well, they started selling it pretty much right away, and they were one of the reasons why the DPEG was as bad as it was for as long as it was. When they were down to 8,000 rETH, they deposited it in an eigenlayer, only to request withdrawal from eigenlayer literally minutes later. So that was like a whole mess that they were doing. It didn't look like they knew what they were doing. Anyway, since they withdrew from eigenlayer, then they started selling their rETH again, and it looks like they have finally sold the rest of their rETH that they had been holding since for just under 2 months. So Hululo checked that out earlier today and saw that it was done. So it's nice that they're done. Okay, Ken did something really interesting here. He says that with the help of 4OPDR agent, I guess that's some kind of AI agent, he said, I generated the following this weekend. I've worked over it with my knowledge of the RPIPs and what I can figure out from the Dev 1 beta. Can folks review it and edit? Suggested comments enabled for accuracy. Fix shared link. So here there's a Notion document that Ken made that has a full summary of Saturn 1 and what is going on with that. So let's have a quick look at it. So it says Saturn 1. Saturn 1 upgrade is a major rocket pool upgrade focused on scaling the protocol and overhauling tokenomics. It builds on the Saturn 0 changes, which remove the RPL bond requirement and introduces new features that improve staking efficiency, fairness, and security. It says below we break down Saturn 1's purpose and features, its impact on node operators, the revamped node operator queue system, and highlights from community discussions. So the purpose of Saturn 1, it says Saturn 1 is aimed to lower mini pool bond, mega pools are being introduced, dynamic commission and revenue split, and then there's going to be improving staking processes and safety guardrails as well. And then this is impact on node operators. So it talks about ETH-only mini pools and RPL optionality, higher validator capacity per node operator, mega pool contract migration, and then there's new commission structures, greater security with lower risk, and operational changes. And then it says node operator queue changes. There's a fast queue versus standard queue, and then there's technical and governance discussions around Saturn 1, and they've got some information there as well. So this was a nice little summary with all the different things that are going into Saturn 1. It's a little bit more detailed than I would have liked, but that's totally fine if people want more information. I really like the RPIP explainers that explain Saturn 1 and Saturn 2. The tokenomics explainers, those are, I think, really, really cool. But this is really good information here. So if you want to have a look at it, it might be nice to share it with like slightly more researchy minded people. I think they'd get more out of it than the majority of the audiences. Okay, so last week there was a community call that was actually a really good community call with Langers, and I actually didn't summarize it on Rocket Fuel. So Pateris was actually kind enough to do a summary of it while he was listening to the call. So I'm just going to read out what Pateris said, and you guys can get a summary of the call from that. So Pateris says, the team watched Rocket Fuel and they had listened to my request / suggestion for the team members to become more active in the Discord again and just start, shit posting. They don't have to do a big time commitment or anything like that. Just a few words a day, just nice to show that they're around. And then it says put a little bit of time each day to have a chat. So then they talked about Fidelity. They were saying the main contact at Fidelity is no longer responsive, so they're going to see if they can find someone else. They're in the holding pattern with Sony, while I guess Sony are trying to figure things out. Arbitrum has ETH to stake and is working with Alpha Growth on a proposal. So Arbitrum want to do a joint application with themselves and Balancer. They're in a early getting to know you phase with Trezor, who's a hardware wallet provider. Lots of people have changed that ledger, so they're trying to get to rebuild relationships there, and they are talking to Ivy directly to work with them a little bit more as well. And then Pateris carries on saying that they talk to World Liberty Finance and hope they can get something working with them. The goal for ETH Denver is to connect with the community. There's biggest focus is on social events during ETH Denver. The team won't have a booth because there's no headspace with Saturn work going full steam ahead. Langers will be on the panel at a restaking conference. That's the only appearance. Also foster relationships with partners. No news on legal clearing the logo for DAO merchandise, but that got put to the top of the list to check up on it again. And then this year's swag from the team will be beanies. So if anyone is going to ETH Denver and would like to send me a beanie, I would really appreciate that, because I'm not going to ETH Denver this year, but I would really love a beanie. And then the team are going to host the Rocket Pool community meetup on the Friday or Saturday. Saturn has a lot of scope to deliver. It's been really tough. There's a lot of work in there, but they don't want to have a long period of nothingness for the community. So the DevNets are a nice milestones the community can test and give feedback. The infrastructure built with Dev 1 rest are slightly smaller, working on DevNet 2 right now. And then they're saying the goal of DevNet 1 is to do the deposit process, deploying Megapool, depositing validators, stake transactions, exit the queue. You can actually do that in Saturn, but you get credit or cash out for rETH. And then dissolving, slightly different, only happens when assigned ETH. A node operator can dissolve themselves at any time they want. And then the express ticket allocation. So there'll be two queues, standard queue and express queue. As a node operator, you get express tickets. It moves faster and gets them first. If you got current mini pools, then you get 2 tickets per mini pool, because your 8 ETH validator becomes 2 4 ETH validators. And then if you also Megapool delegate upgrades, both testnet and devnet on Heleshki. They're different deployments. You can run both at the same machine. You need different smart node clients, but only one set of execution layer and consensus layer clients. And then Megapool RPL staking is not in yet. And there's also things like reward and capital distribution that are not yet done. And we don't need hundreds, but need a few good people. And then there was talk about the different queues and about how they all work. There was some confusion about that, I think, from the community. And then, what will give you tickets and what kind of tickets. So you can read those messages from Pateris for that. And then DevNet 2 will be on Smart Node 2. So there'll be two version 2 rollouts open for everyone to use. ODA may be slower. Version 2 aiming to deliver at the end of March. Pectra client updates depend on timing. Ideally version 2, but depends on the timing. And then client updates are not necessarily a big thing to move to version 2. Pectra and Heleshki in February 26th, reaching out to auditors to discuss what the options are of timing, and they may not start until DevNet 3 earliest, maybe even DevNet 4. And then Pateris says the current queue is separate from other queues. The current queue will get processed first. Current queue, express queue, and standard queue. We then the question was, should we pause deposits to the current queue and figuring out withdrawals? Jasper said yes, they should probably pause the deposits at some point. And then there might be a reputational risk that should be considered. It seems like Rocket Pool would be centralized if that's paused. Ken confused why someone would mint rETH instead of buying at a discount. Our front end at the moment always deposits. That was mainly because people were getting sniped, so we disabled secondary market option. Got a prototype up for integrating CowSwap. Decision whether we go forward with it or hold off. And then Pateris says that he's just transcribing, and then that was it. I think here Pateris is back. So this is BTCS, Nasdaq public company. They're Rocket Pool node operator. They're moving a lot of their stuff over to Rocket Pool. Says we can expect them to deposit more when there's probably less of a queue. Other thing they do is run a relay, working on integrating their relay. Relay is like a hyper compliance relay because they're a public company, looking into integrating that into the smart node. And then they're going to catch up with them in Denver. They reached out to us already, but knew a fair amount. Helped onboard as node operators, answered questions, went through legal and all that stuff. They loved the smart node documentation onboarding process. They've ruled out liquid staking at the moment, but about keeping our ETH on peg, they said that exit arb is powerful. Trooper are keen on adding it as onto the smart node and going to support him as much as possible. Should be able to do an audit on the contract as well. And then Val's working on the RPIP for rETH withdrawal liquidity. The idea, rETH deposits will fill up a withdrawal buffer first. So probably another queue, not actually a queue, but a pool of withdrawal liquidity. Our deposits will go into this pool instead of withdrawal liquidity first until it hits a certain threshold. Everything above that threshold will be deposited into the deposit pool. That's medium term, likely released with Saturn 1. Also forced exits. That's something we definitely need to talk about a lot more. And then the team will participate in the Star campaign, but the idea is that this is separate, so it's kind of independent. And the team will use the Star campaign to sweeten deals. It's a community initiative. Don't want to necessarily tread on those toes too much. And then the rescue node with ETH Staker, Aztec community call that actually happened today. Node operators can participate in the Aztec network. And then Liquidity V2 potential issue with their stability pools. And that was it. So yeah, that was really, really awesome stuff by Pateris. The community call was a good one if you want to get a listen to it. You can find the link in Thursday's episode description. Okay, then we have an update on the STAR program from SignalXU, and he says, "Hi community, this is the STAR program weekly update. We made some adjustments to better support community members in pitching directly. The update also includes some pitch progress. If you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to discuss or DM me." So then there's a forum post where the update happened, and you can see here that SignalXU is saying that this is an update since the launch. So the GMC and some community members have provided feedback on 2 key points. Some individuals who want to pitch on their own are unsure how to proceed. Certain concepts and content are difficult to understand and apply. And in responding to this feedback, made adjustments. So now there's independent pitching. Community members can now pitch independently. The necessary pitch materials and scripts are available on Notion. Feel free to comment with suggestions. Permissions are open, and you can submit a proposal directly in the relevant protocols forum. DM the appropriate contacts or schedule a call. If you encounter challenges or need support during the pitch, you can proceed on your own without following a predefined sales process. Additionally, you're encouraged to submit details of your ongoing deals so we can provide support and track progress. And lead submissions only. If you wish to submit leads without participating in the pitch, you can continue to use the previous form submission process. And then there's deals progress. So the ENS DAO, the pitch was completed this week, but ENS already stakes its treasury ETH into Rocket Pool. They also have a policy limiting any single LST to a maximum of 20%. In this case, this will be included in our success stories to strengthen our pitch efforts. Design ideas also been submitted. For details on ENS staking, please refer to Karpatkey. And then the Ethereum Foundation says we attempted to establish contact this week. The response was that do not accept direct pitches and only share updates via Twitter. I believe Rocket Pool's official Twitter account should engage with them. The ENS DAO approach could serve as a reference for the Ethereum Foundation as well. Additionally, we have provided EF with a contact point so they can reach out if they want to learn more about Rocket Pool. And then L2 leads, Destroyer submitted multiple L2 leads and Fuel has already started pitching. So there's a lot of progress happening with the Star stuff. So this is awesome. I'm really expecting to see like big gains in momentum in the coming weeks while the contributors start learning the materials, start identifying leads and start working with them. So we spoke about Karpatkey a few seconds ago, and there was a tweet here from Karpatkey about Nexus Mutual and kind of how they're handling their treasury. And one thing that was really interesting here was in tweet number 5, they said that they are deploying new permissions payloads on their whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then another thing they're doing is expanding treasury allocations into Rocket Pool, EtherFi, Spark, Balancer, Aura, and Aave v3 Prime market. So this is actually really interesting to see. And I said it only makes sense to add rETH. So of course this would this this is the Nexus Mutual treasury, and they of course minted a lot of rETH like over a year ago. So what's really interesting here is that Dr. Doofus was one of the people who reached out to Karpatkey, and he gives some information here. He says, in the old days, I know at least Mav, me, and another Vizsla had some bare knuckle brawls with Karpatkey over their exclusive deals with Lido. We pushed pretty hard that they needed to diversify their LST holdings in their treasuries they managed, like Gnosis DAO, Aragon, and that they're accepting rETH is a big one. Do note though that this is post about them managing Nexus Mutual DAO, which already had rETH, so I'm not exactly sure if this is them saying they'll buy more rETH or just saying that they have expanded their holdings into already existing rETH by taking over Nexus Mutual DAO's treasury, but it sounds like they're accepting that diversifying LSTs is good and they intend to do more. And I think I agree mostly with Dr. Doofus's point there, and I think it also means that they will be adding more rETH into their Nexus Mutual holdings, or maybe they'll be diversifying a little bit away from rETH and into some of those other tokens that I just mentioned. So let's see what happens there. Okay, moving on to some staking news now, and there was some interesting discussions happening with the SEC this week about tokens that could be put into ETFs, and here one of the things was like a crypto task force discusses inclusion of staking in ETPs with G2 Labs and Multicoin Capital filing. And this was another meeting, like this is, Solana people meeting with the SEC, but there was also another meeting with Blockchain Association, who I think are more Ethereum aligned, and they're talking to them about having, staking in the ETFs, which looks like is coming for ETH quite soon, but also I think the topic of the ETFs being allowed to hold LSTs came up, so that's going to be a very interesting one to keep an eye on as well. Okay, talking about meetings with the SEC, Dr. Doofus here dropped a little bit of a nugget of alpha of bread with a meeting between the GMC and the team. So Doofus says there was a GMC core team meeting last night. It's very preliminary and in general, and I'm probably not supposed to say things, but the Rocket Pool team is deep in conversations with the SEC and lawyers and such, and there was a lot of joyous outbursts on their updates. So there's some interesting tidbits there of information that Dr. Doofus is kind of leaking. Sadly, I wasn't part of that meeting. That was one of the ones I missed, so I can't comment on what the information was, but it's a nice little tidbit of information there. So hopefully, ETFs coming up with that, let companies hold rETH would be absolutely amazing. That's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on. Okay, Jasper kind of floated this idea of staking requirements for Ethereum node operation, which is something that has been kind of talked about in different communities on Twitter. There's a camp people that was kind of led by Max Resnick before he went to Solana, saying that you should demand more from node operators, and they should be able to do more computation, have better bandwidth, and make Ethereum kind of grow like stronger layer one. And that that idea has been kind of back and forward a little bit, but it looks like it's coming back forward again in a new way. So Jasper was kind of asking how do you feel about this? And the requirements that he kind of pitched is 32 gigabyte RAM, which is what most of us have anyway, I think. 8-core CPU, which I think a lot of us have anyway, not all of us though, and 4 terabyte SSD, which not that many of us have. I think a lot of people started with 2 terabytes, and those are actually getting very close to being full now, and we're just waiting to see if we'll be able to get by until May when the state expiry stuff comes through. But this is kind of the idea that's coming through now, and you could get a system that's built to that spec for $600 or something like that. And yeah, it looks like it might be coming at some point soon. So definitely one to keep an eye on. And that's not just Jasper saying this, is like discussion, like I said, from Twitter and some core devs saying that they want more on this front. Okay, and then it looks like the Jasper will be passing along some of that information about hardware requirements to the Ethereum Foundation. So that's gonna probably be happening soon. Okay, so more staking news here we have now is that NodeSet have identified an issue with claiming their rewards where transactions are not being registered correctly by their server, which prevents multiple claims. That means you can currently only claim rewards once, and then you can't claim again. So we're looking into this and fixing it ASAP. We apologize for any inconvenience in the meantime, and the Heleshki rewards claims don't appear to be impacted by this currently. So it looks like there's a small bug in their claim system, and if you claim all your rewards once, then you won't be able to claim them again. So it looks like that's where things stand with that, and they want to fix it soon. Okay, so talking about hardware requirements and L1 scaling, here Vitalik actually put out a blog post saying reasons to have higher L1 gas limits even in an L2 heavy Ethereum. And here there was some discussion about scaling L1 and what that might be able to do and when we might be able to do it. And Vitalik thinks of things like censorship resistance, also basic mathematical assumptions, the need to move assets between L2s, and then L2 mass exits, and issuing ERC20s on L1, and key store wallet operations, etc. L2 forward proof submissions. And in conclusion, what he says is that he said, keep in mind that once again, the cost-based estimates are extremely approximate. But altogether, he says that this analysis shows that there's significant value to a 10x scaling of L1 gas, even in an L2 dominated world. This in turn implies that short-term L1 gas scaling that can be done in the next 1 to 2 years is valuable regardless of what the long-term picture ends up looking like. So it looks like even Vitalik has been convinced of some of the arguments about scaling L1 gas, and maybe I think we might start seeing more EIPs towards making that happen in the coming weeks and months. And finally, if you are into Ethereum and Ethereum dev work and upgrades, well, this one is for you. It looks like the Beam chain call has started. So these are people who want to get involved in developing Beam chain. And this was call number 1. So this was shared by the Ethereum YouTube account, where a whole bunch of people got on the call and started talking about strategies for upgrading to the Beam chain. So that's really, really awesome to see. So yeah, on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely day ahead and had a great weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.